Today we're going to talk about a super myth that I like to label it. I'm often contacted, I'm often asked this question. I'm often clients reach out or folks that follow on the social media platforms, wherever these, the trade shows is another one that I get a lot of these questions at, is during the season, October, middle of October, the acorns, the power of the mass crop is taking are taking the deer off my food plots, and they're just not on my food plots because of they're stuck in the timber on the oak ridges and the oak flats, and that must be the reason that I'm not seeing any deer, is because they're in there. Well, there's a lot to be said for that. One thing is you are on the right track as far as they are in those areas, feeding on mass crop, acorn. These are red oak acorns, standing under a stand location here I have. But the fact of the matter is, guys, is the reason that they're in those locations as strong as they are and not on your food plots during huntable hours, the daylight hours, is because of pressure. It has nothing to do with the amount of acorns that are dropping, the brand of acorns or the species of acorns or the tonnage or the mass crop. Has nothing to relate to that, other than it is fulfilling their daily requirements. Let's start from the south, Georgia, Alabama. Down there you guys are about 70-75% of a deer's intake is woody browse. In the Midwest and up north here, we reach 85-90% of a deer's intake is roughage or woody browse, and that includes acorns. So it is a very, very, very highly sought after food source, don't get me wrong, but the fact of the matter is the reason that the deer are not on your food plots and they're in the timber feeding in that five feedings in a 24-hour period, 4 to 5 feedings depending where you're at. The reason that they are choosing to not leave those locations and eat the acorn in those bedding areas, let's say, or on those ridges closest to the bedding areas, is because of one reason and one reason only. It's pressure. And when I get these calls, as we start digging into, especially if I'm able to, the followers, let's say, or the viewers reach out and they ask these questions, and then the following year, such as I have a bunch this year that we've already been chatting about this, and then I'm able to go out to them locations, to your properties, and pinpoint exactly the pressure issue. Usually 95% of the time, 99% of the time, I was right by telling you the reason that the deer are in those areas are not, and they're electing to stay in those areas, are not because it's a bumper crop and it's going to be a harsh winter. And I could tell you a long list of the Farmer's Almanac stories that date years and years back. The fact of the matter is, guys, is if you start watching this, I encourage you to watch this year. If you have a disbelief in what I'm teaching you here, if you start watching, social media is a perfect platform to view this off from. About the second or third week of October, you'll start to see, we're just going to use between October 10th to October 30th. What you'll see is see across the nation of the whitetail range, you'll start seeing these comments pop up about the acorns are taking over, the deer are in the oaks, and they're not on my food plots like they were early season, and we're getting pictures of them in September, and now they're gone. And that's the reason that a lot of guys don't put the money and time into food plots, because you can't compete against acorns. You guys have all seen this. But the fact is here, if you start watching this across the whole whitetail range, everybody's talking about that at the same time. Well, I'm here to tell you that there's 4 different regions that a acorn produces, matures, and drops, and is that powerful at that given time. It's a very short window until later in the season that they'll start digging that through, like in our area up here, they start digging that through snow or whatever. But it's a very short window. It's a couple of weeks, 2 to 3 weeks usually, that these are very powerful. And what you'll see is it happens all across the range. Everybody talks about it all across the country at the same time. And the reason that is, guys, is because we all start in the middle of September or the first week of October, October 1st. And the reason that they're electing to take their 4th and 5th feeding of the day, well, usually that is out on the greens that they need. they are electing to stock up on more of these to stay away from pressure, and then they are finding forbs, or they're hitting your food plots at night, nocturnally, instead of coming to there. So this myth that's out there, and I highly encourage you to believe in this, is because if you are experiencing something that, whether it's a trail cam showing you or the deer just aren't on your food plots, and you know, your hunting partners or your deer camp you know, partners are telling you this, or the guys in the area are all telling you that the deer are in the acorns and it's going to be a horrible winter and we got a mass crop of acorns. Guys, I'm standing in a sea of acorns right now, and I haven't missed a beat on my trail cameras, and I guarantee you that we won't miss a beat on those. Now the switch will come where we'll have to put other emphasis on other stands, but like here in Michigan, we haven't started our opener yet, so that pressure hasn't hit. But if you're a guy like me, that pressure, the object is to not let that pressure hit at all, especially through the myth of the October lull. And that directly relates to the acorn myth that's out there. So in review, if the way to beat this, in review, and the way to beat this, one, in review, is don't get caught in the trap of believing that the acorns are so powerful that that's the reason that they're not using your food plots. Take a step back, look at your pressure, how you're entering and exiting those tree stands, and then really relate that to the pressure on your food plots. And I think what you'll find is, in most cases, what you're going to find is the reason that they're not on your food plots and they're electing to eat other forbs and forages with the acorns in the timber is because of pressure. So they're meeting all 5 requirements inside the timber instead of having to come out to your food plots, which takes the value of your food plots rate completely out of the window. So this is how you cure that. To get the best bang for your food plots is, here's, you know, this is my belief, is you respect the power of the acorn. You acknowledge that the draw to these acorns is pretty much unbeatable, but the reason that you can't beat these is because of the pressure on your food plots. Once you take that step and you go to that level of taking the pressure off from your destination feed locations, not only food plots but agricultural included, any destination feed location, you not only encourage them to meet their requirements, like here in our area, or here in the Midwest, or up through the Northeast, you encourage them to keep collecting the acorns and keep using your food plots. And what that does is that promotes your lines of travel, and then you can be more successful getting in and out of your stands undetected and being able to hunt them between food sources. If you overpressure your food sources, such as hunting over a food plot, what happens is these become the golden nugget, if you will, and you will not beat them. And that is the truth. You will not beat these. As the reason that you can't not beat these is because of the location that they're in. Now, if you took all the acorns out of the timber, I often tell my clients this, is if you take all the acorns and you were able to suck them all off the forest floor and you put them in your food plot, and then 3 weeks after doing it, the way that you're still hunting it on your food plots, and then you call me back and tell me, are they eating the acorns? And I can guarantee you the answer is they'll be eating those acorns on those food plots in nocturnal. They'd be nocturnal just as well as your food plot. So the missing link is the pressure. So they have to have these internal of their bedding areas. It's very important to know what you are cutting and not cutting inside of a bedding area. That goes back to habitat creations and hinge cutting. But the reason that these are the golden nugget is because of pressure out on your food plots. So take that in consideration this year, guys, and really put some thought into that. I think that'll help you out.